Hi, everyone. My name is Chris Sarsky. I'm one of the consultants with the CART Consortia and going to be on a journey with you to unpack some of the manipulatives that you find in the classroom. So welcome to the series. And this is just your starting video, your opening one. And just to step us through what we're going to be doing in the series and that you have a better understanding of how you can go in and out and navigate through the different opportunities that'll be posted. Let's begin first with our land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that we are a meeting from across Alberta on Treaty 6, 7, and 8 territories, and we honor and acknowledge all of the First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples who have lived, traveled, and gathered on these lands for thousands of years. We acknowledge that these lands are traditional meeting grounds, giving voice to its original peoples and the story of creation in a way that history has forgotten. So we know that you're coming from all over. I'm coming to you from Treaty 6 territory, and our home office is in Ponoka. So this is a very brief video just to give you an overview. You'd only watch this once, pretty much, so that you have a sense of how this will work. You will see that not everything is fully uploaded yet to the site, but just keep checking back because they will be coming fast and furious. So just want to talk a little bit about how it's going to work when you come in and out, and then why did I pick manipulatives at this time of the year, and which ones are we going to look at? So when you come into this session, you'll notice you have a link. You will have this opening video, and from hereafter there will be folders that will be titled, for example, Cuisinart rods. And each time that you come in, you can pick whichever one you want to go to. They're not time limited. They're not going to be date stamped. But within each one of them, you'll always have a short slide deck to introduce that particular manipulative, especially if you're not familiar with it. Give you maybe a little bit of background. I will try and link for you any place that you could maybe find it virtually, which is not the intent. Remember, we really want the kids wherever we can to be hands-on. But just if you don't have the resource, right, enough of it available, maybe you want a virtual one. And then also where maybe I can get it, right? If there are sites that I know of that you can purchase it. It's not going to be all encompassing. I just want to make sure that if it's something that you wanted to have, that you have access to it. And then the second recording that will be there will always be the hands-on. So I'll record showing you how to work through that manipulative, what are some activities that we will do, and that could do to do with the students in order to use it as a teaching tool. And then also where I can, I'm going to try and put in some enhancements. That might not come right off the bat. I may go back and add those after. My focus will be to always make sure that you have the instructional pieces for how do I use this manipulative and what's it for and where would I use it. But also there's lots of engaging activities, game formats sometimes that we can set up that are all learning opportunities for the kids, but they're quite captivating for them. So I'll try and include some of those as well. Why manipulatives? Well, first of all, with the new curriculum, we've been doing a lot of resurfacing of a number of the curriculum or different manipulatives that are available. And a lot of teachers are saying, you know, you're showing us some I've never seen before. And so it was just an opportunity where a number of school boards said, you know, could you just come in and do some PDs for us on manipulatives? And that's all well and fine. But if we're going to do it once and do it for one board, then why don't we just do it for everybody? And so this way, this is an opportunity for anyone who wants to just go in and out and learn about the different manipulatives as you need them or as you're going through your curriculums. You have that opportunity to do that. Again, there's going to be some that you're going to see on there that you don't even know what that is. So this is a great way for you to find out maybe what's sitting in your school and not getting used. So manipulative is just an engaging tool. It's an object that children can physically touch that links directly to a concept that we're teaching. And remember, there's an old adage that if I just stand and deliver to them, they listen, I'm going to probably forget it. If I see it, I might remember it more. But I'm not going to necessarily just remember it in perpetuity if I just see it. But when I get to listen to you, see it, touch it, do it, physically move it around in the concept that you're trying to teach me, the chances of me remembering that are much greater. So trying to unpack as many of the different types of things that we might find in the classroom now. Some of them span very younger ages, some of them go all the way up to high school. Sometimes it's just the concept of how the manipulative works, and then you as a teacher can just adapt it to whatever level that you're teaching. So when we are talking about learning physically through manipulatives, children learn at different stages. And again, it doesn't really matter what grade they're in and what age they are. Those stages exist whether I'm teaching a new concept to a kindergarten student or whether I teach it directly to a grade 12 student who's going to prepare for a diploma exam. So you have them up on the screen. There's sort of that concrete stage where definitely the hands-on is the best starting point that I can offer. If I could get kids to get up in high school and in junior high and put carpets on the floor where they were actually using tape to create lines to understand the differences between slope and y-intercept, that was really engaging for them. But they also remembered it because they actually had to figure out all those values on a carpet, on a grid. They had to count them all out. That doesn't mean we did carpets for the rest of our lives. But truthfully, it was such an easy way to teach those types of things. That's a manipulative. Even though they just got up out of their desk and were working with a carpet, it's still a manipulative. So the concrete stage gives me that exploration opportunity to really, really connect the concept to what is happening in front of me. It gives me a chance to try things out, and maybe it doesn't work very well the first time. But it's a manipulative, I can move it around, I can change it. The representational stage is maybe where I take the manipulative and now I start drawing on my own on the side. Because maybe I'm not going to be walking around with a carpet all the time. What are some things I did on the carpet? What are some things that we did with money? What are some things that we did with Cuisenaire rods? What are some things we did with counters that we started to move towards the idea of maybe multiplication tables? So they start to draw circles and groups of numbers. And then the abstract stage is I'm moving to the math part. Right, I'm doing the paper and pencil piece, but I've got all those other pieces behind me already. So when I get stuck, I can visualize when I got up out of my desk and went on the floor and did something on the carpet. I can visualize when you put those tools in front of me, how I move things around. So it just really helps to solidify. Does it take any more time? Absolutely not. Because in most cases, the manipulative replaces a worksheet that I might have had. I can still ask those questions, but I'm doing it rather than just sitting, looking up at the board, what did you write down, and trying to navigate through a worksheet. When they become part of the teaching and part of the students' learning, they don't know that there was supposed to be a worksheet or a question from the book. You're just doing it with a manipulative. So it really doesn't take any extra time. And when the students are in tune with using manipulatives, there isn't a lot of wasted time in transition either. That's just a matter of them getting used to it. At the bottom on this page here, I have a link. I'm just going to bring it up, but I encourage you to go through and actually read all components of it. It just gives you the research, because I can give you tons of links about why would we use manipulatives. There's lots of research that supports it. But I just wanted something that was short and concise. And BC Teachers had created this infographic, which basically gives us that. So the research on manipulatives, what does NCTM say? What were the benefits? And there's numerous. Look at all the bullets of why. What are the pieces that I enhance when I bring them into the classroom? Again, we look at the different learning styles, right? The different progressions of development that I go through. And then again, how that supports my learning in the classroom as a student. So this is a really concise little infographic that just reflects use of manipulatives in the classroom, any manipulative. Yes, they show you some pictures on the side, but that's not what they're referring to. They're not just saying just that manipulative. So there's different areas that I can support. There's different concepts in math that really get enhanced, but those are not the only ones that are listed there. So again, I encourage you to take this, read it, just have a look through it and see if there's anything in there that, you know, maybe resonates with you that you hadn't seen before. I know that lots of you use manipulatives already, so this is not new to you. So what am I going to be covering? I'm not covering them in any particular order. So what you're seeing come up right now is the ones that for sure will be covered. Are they going to be in this order? No. So I may do, let's say, a Cuisenaire part 1. I don't do part 2, part 3 right away because I do want to introduce some others. But there's going to be pattern blocks, base 10 blocks, Myras. You might not have used a Myra for a long time, want just a refresher on that. Pattern blocks for patterning and tiling, but also then pattern blocks for fractions. So we're going to use them again and again. Cuisenaire rods, how do I use them? If I've never used a lot of them before, I never used the DeciTracks, let's get started first. So in a lot of cases, you might know parts of it, and they're not meant to be hours-long sessions here. They're just, let's do this part quickly so that you can go back and adapt it to whatever you're doing in the classroom. We're also going to look at Cuisenaire rods on how I might use them for modeling fractions. How do I unpack unit fractions? Colored tiles, there's boxes of those in classrooms. What do you do with those? If they're counters, they're great counters, but what else can I do with them? Protractors was a request that people have said, you know what, I haven't used them for a long time. COVID made me realize that I was doing them online and didn't know how to do them online virtually. I don't know that I remember how to do them on paper. So some of these will be short and sweet. We'll do the 180 and the 360, for example. Geoboards, what can I do with those? Dice and dominoes, excellent manipulatives to have in a classroom and easy to have on hand for so many things that we can do with them at all grade levels. Algebra tiles, how do I use those? How can I use them beyond just being a counter, positive and negative integers? How do I move into equations with them? So again, we'll just do all of those little pieces as we move forward. Money is a manipulative. Money has its opportunities to kind of do resurgence right now because we're doing a lot of financial literacy, but also because it was a super exceptionally good manipulative for us in many curriculums before, and it really solidified the students' understanding of place value and decimals. So we're going to go back and do some of those as well. Clocks, what do I do with them other than maybe tell time? Let's bring unit fractions into them, the skip counting into it. Let's bring geometry into it so that we can do it for angles. And then rec and recs, not just the 2-row rec and rec. And if you say rec and rec, what the heck is that? Come join me, because they're pretty quick to learn, but they've got a lot to them. There's so many things you can do with them, and they're easy to make. I'll show you how to make one in the classroom if you don't have any and you want to use them. The introductory level ones are great for kindergarten, grade 1, grade 2. But when you have the 10-row, that goes a lot deeper. So we'll unpack those as well. So just a reminder, when I have some opportunities, I'll also add into each of the folders an engagement activity. So this is one of those files where you're just going to have to keep checking back and see what's there. Same thing with an abacus. How do you represent large numbers? That's a great way to do that. Instead of them just doing them in columns, this is the column work done on an abacus. So, and the students really like the fact that they have those opportunities for color. Again, if you don't have one in the school, but this sounds intriguing and you'd really like to use it, I will also show you where you can find them virtually. So thanks, everyone. This will give you an overview. It's been a busy time, so we'll keep posting things quickly. Just keep checking back. There's no limit to how many times you can come in and use material that's here. And if you have any questions at all, you have my email there, just reach out. And if you have some that you would like, but you didn't see them on the list, just fire me off an email and we'll just add another manipulative to the journey. Thanks again.